Sat Shri Akal, Namaste, hello. Today I am here with the next topic, that is our environment. Environment is everything around the organism. It consists of two components. These are abiotic components and biotic components. Abiotic components are non-living components, whereas biotic components are living components. And in this chapter we will discuss about environment interactions, that is ecosystem, and the impact on environment by the human activities. First of all, what is ecosystem? Ecosystem is a structural and functional unit of the biosphere comprising living organisms and their non-living environment. Ecosystem, it is a structural and functional unit in which we have both living organism and non-living environment. These both things interact with each other by the means of food chains, chemical cycles like oxygen cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon dioxide cycle, water cycle, which results in the flow of energy, biotic diversity, and material cycling to form a stable self-supporting system. The cycles, for example, carbon dioxide cycle, water cycle, oxygen cycle, they fulfill their own requirement with the help of the biotic and abiotic components. The term ecosystem was introduced by Tinsley. There are different types of ecosystem on the basis of nature, duration, and size. On the basis of nature, there are two types of ecosystem. These are natural ecosystems and artificial ecosystems. Natural ecosystems operate in the nature by themselves without human interference. In natural ecosystem, there is no interference of human activities. These are of two types: aquatic means related with water, and terrestrial means land. Aquatic has again two types: freshwater and marine. Freshwater has rivers, lakes, swamps. Marine has coastal areas, oceans, seas. Terrestrial has grasslands, deserts, forests. The aquatic ecosystems are of two types. These are lotic aquatic ecosystems and lantic. Lotic are those ecosystems in which water moves, for example, rivers, streams, and lantic has stable water like lakes, ponds. The artificial ecosystems are man-made. These are made by man and maintained by man, also called as man-engineered ecosystems. These have croplands, orchards, gardens, aquariums. Next, we have types on the basis of duration. These are temporary ecosystems or permanent ecosystems. Temporary ecosystems are short-lived. These are man-made or natural both. Example, rain-fed forest and lab culture of bacteria. Duration on the basis of long duration, it is permanent ecosystem. These are long-lived. These are self-supporting natural ecosystems that maintain themselves, for example, lakes, forests, deserts. On the basis of size, there are two ecosystems: small ecosystem and large ecosystem. Small ecosystem is also called as micro ecosystem and large are called as macro ecosystem. Micro ecosystem are small sized, example flower pot, site under a stone. Large example, an ocean, a forest, or a desert. Next, we have components of ecosystem. These are abiotic components and biotic components. Abiotic components include non-living physico-chemical factors, means there are physical factors, also chemical factors. They affect distribution and structure of an organism, its behavior, and its relationship with other organisms. There are three types of factors in the abiotic component. These are inorganic substances, organic substances, and climatic factors. Inorganic substances like all the elements: carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, calcium, phosphorus, and compounds from these. These are present in water, soil, or open air. Organic substances are carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, nucleic acids. These are present in living organisms. And dead organic matter. The dead organic matter is broken down by the action of decomposers into organic substances, which is again used by living organisms for the recycling. Climatic factors include light, temperature, wind, rainfall, water. And climatic factors also include edaphic factors, which are included in soil. For example, soil pH, Next, we have biotic components. These are the living organisms present in an ecosystem form the biotic components, all the living organisms. There are three types of biotic organisms: producers, consumers, decomposers. Producers include all green plants, blue-green algae, bacteria, and microorganisms. These are the organisms which produce their own food from the inorganic substances. Consumers, which obtain their food from producers, and decomposers, which decompose the organic material. The producers utilize solar energy to convert it into chemical energy with the help of photosynthetic pigments. We know the photosynthetic pigment is chlorophyll present in plants, green plants. With the help of process of photosynthesis, this solar energy is converted into chemical energy, that is glucose. This is the reaction of photosynthesis. 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 6 molecules of water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll gives us glucose molecule plus 6 molecules of oxygen. From glucose, they form complex organic compounds like starch, proteins, and lipids. These all are used by consumers to get energy. These are also called as photoautotrophs or transducers because they convert or transform the solar energy into chemical energy. Next, we have consumers. Consumers mainly include animals. They are unable to synthesize their own food. They utilize the energy and materials stored by producers and other animals also. These are also called as heterotrophs. There are primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, quaternary consumers. Let us understand this by an example. For example, a plant called as producer eaten by rabbit. Rabbit here is primary consumer, or we can say it herbivorous because it feeds on plants. Then rabbit is consumed by cat. Cat is secondary consumer or primary carnivore. Wolf is a tertiary consumer because it eats secondary consumer, and it is called as secondary carnivores. If wolf is eaten by any other animal, that animal is called as quaternary consumer. Then we have decomposers. Decomposers include bacteria and fungi of decay. They obtain food from the organic material of dead products of producers or consumers and their waste products. These decomposers convert the organic material into inorganic material. These inorganic substances are again released into environment, are used by the producers as raw material. Now we have food chain and food webs. What are food chains? For example, any plant is eaten by an animal and the animal is again eaten by other animal. This whole sequence is called as food chain. Food chain definition: sequential interlinking of organisms involving transfer of food energy, in which food energy is transferred from producers. Producers से जाती है किसी एक प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर में, फिर प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर से सेकेंडरी कंज्यूमर में, एंड दिस चेन कंटिन्यूज. द चेन ऑफ eating and being eaten is called as food chain. We have 3 types of food chain, 3 examples of food chain. Terrestrial food chain: plant eaten by deer, then eaten by tiger. Similarly, in grassland ecosystem, grass is eaten by grasshopper, grasshopper is eaten by frog, frog is eaten by snake, and snake is eaten by hawk. In aquatic, we have planktons, the minute plants called as planktons, eaten by crabs. Crab is herbivore and crab is eaten by fish. Fish becomes primary carnivore and fish is eaten by flamingo. Flamingo becomes secondary carnivore, and this is the aquatic food chain. The food chain can be up to 4 or 5 trophic levels. Above it, there is no energy left to transfer, only biomass increases. This will we discuss in the flow of energy. Now, what are trophic levels? Trophic levels are the sequential steps in the food chain where energy transfer occurs between different trophic levels. At each higher level, energy decreases. This is a pyramid of trophic levels: producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumer. Producers have first trophic level, primary consumer have second trophic level, secondary consumer have third trophic level, and tertiary consumers have fourth trophic level. These are the steps of the food chain where transfer of energy occurs, and each step of food chain is termed as trophic level. The characteristics of food chain is repeated eating. The food chains are always straight. There is unidirectional flow of energy, that is, energy is moved from producers to consumers, then primary consumer to secondary consumer, and then from secondary consumer to tertiary consumer. There are maximum of 5 trophic levels. 80 to 90% of energy is lost at each level. Now let us discuss an example of food chain. For example, we have grass eaten by frog. Frog is eaten by snake, and snake is again eaten by hawk. We can classify it. It is producer. This is herbivore. This is primary carnivore. And this is secondary carnivore. At each level there occur transfer of energy. The energy which is stored in grass is transferred to frog. The energy stored in frog is transferred to snake. The energy stored in snake is transferred to hawk. This herbivore is also called as primary consumer. Snake is called as secondary consumer. And hawk is called as tertiary consumer. If we take example of 5 steps, it can be grass, grasshopper, frog, snake, eagle. Similarly, this is producer, this is primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, quaternary consumer. Frog, snake and eagle are carnivores, and grasshopper is herbivore, grass is producers. There are 3 types of organisms: herbivores, carnivores and omnivores. Herbivores eat only plant and plant material. Carnivores eat herbivores, or we can say only flesh. Whereas omnivores eat both flesh and plant material. We have food web. Food web is a network of food chain which becomes interconnected at various trophic levels so as to form a number of feeding connections among different organisms of a biotic community. Here, there is a network of food chains. This is an example of food web. We have different food chains. For example, one food chain is grass, grasshopper, frog, bird. Grass is caterpillar, bird, snake, eagle. Grass, rat, cat, and then tiger. We can interlink this. If frog is eaten by snake, snake is eaten by eagle. If rat is eaten by bird, bird is again eaten by snake, and snake is eaten by eagle. If rat is not eaten by cat, it can be eaten by the owl. Then owl is eaten by tiger. Similarly, if plant is eaten by rabbit, it is eaten by fox, fox is eaten by tiger. Plant is eaten by goat, goat is eaten by tiger. Plant is eaten by deer, deer is eaten by tiger, or deer is eaten by wolf, and wolf is eaten by tiger. This food web is the interlinking of food chain, means an organism has a choice of food. If snake do not get bird, it can feed on frog. Food chain do not occur in isolation. In our ecosystem, there doesn't occurrence of food chain because every organism have a choice of food. For example, if tiger is not getting any bird, it can eat wolf or fox or deer or goat. There always an alternative of a food, as in food web. Next is characteristics of food web. They are never straight. These food webs are interlinked food chains. There are alternative pathways of food availability. These food webs make ecosystems stable. There is taking of overpopulation. There is development of food chain. If there is increase in population of birds, it can be stopped by snake. If there is increase in population of snake, it can be regulated by hawk. and so on. These food chains trophic levels are depicted graphically. These food chains and trophic levels can be depicted graphically on the basis of ecological parameters. Ecological parameters are number, biomass and energy. The graphical representation is termed ecological pyramids. This is developed by Elton in 1927. On the basis of ecological pyramids, there are three types of pyramids: pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass and pyramid of energy. First we have pyramid of number. There is arrangement of individual on the basis of number of individual of at different trophic level. For example, this can be upright or inverted. In upright, producers are greater in number than consumers, whereas in inverted, producers are less in number than consumers. This is an example of upright pyramid. This is an example of inverted. In upright, phytoplankton's number is more than zooplankton. Zooplankton are more than small fish and small fish are more than large fish. Similarly, bacteria and fungi are more in number than lice and bugs are more in number than birds, and birds are more in number than oak tree. In one oak tree there are many birds, and one bird can feed on many lice bugs, and a small number of lice bugs can feed on a large number of bacteria and fungi. This is inverted pyramid of number. Inverted pyramid of number has an example parasitic food chain, and upright has pond ecosystem. Thirdly, we have pyramid of biomass. Pyramid of biomass is a representation of biomass per unit area. It can be upright or inverted. In upright, we have grassland ecosystem, and in inverted, we have pond ecosystem. Grasses, rabbit or rats, snakes or lizards, birds. In pond ecosystem, large fishes has more biomass than small fish. Small fish has more biomass than zooplankton, and zooplankton has more biomass than phytoplankton. Similarly, we have pyramid of energy. The thing to remember is there is only one pyramid that is always upright, and that is pyramid of energy. There is no reversal of energy from carnivore to herbivore. The amount of energy per unit area at each trophic level, it is always upright, always gradual decrease in available energy at each trophic level. Producers have more energy than tigers or carnivores. There is a decrease in energy at each trophic level. This is all about today. We will discuss about energy flow in our next lecture and the effect on environment. If you have any doubt, you can ask in comment section, and if you need notes, you can put a comment. Thank you.